Welcome to this congregational goal setting. I appreciate you being here and appreciate you taking the time to be part of the congregation in this manner. I know that our lives are busy and it's good to have you here today. There'll be 10 of these actually over the next week and a half. Opportunities for us to share some information with you and for you to have your input on the direction of our congregation. I really do appreciate you being here. The writer of Proverbs in Proverbs 29:18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." What Proverbs is telling us there is that when there is no prophetic vision of where we're heading for the future, then we stagnate. We stay where we are, we don't move forward. And eventually what is stagnated will perish. What we're hoping to do is to find a vision for our congregation, one that everyone can buy into and be part of, so that we might be the congregation that God has called us to be and be the congregation that you want to be part of as you worship and serve God in this place in Conway, Arkansas. I think we're at a crossroads as a congregation. I've been pastor here for about 2.5 years, and we've dealt with a lot of issues in the past 2.5 years and have made some great progress. But we're at a point now where we've got some big decisions to make about where we're heading and who we're going to be as a congregation in this place and in this time. Some big decisions about what kind of ministry we're going to be about here at 2400 Prince Street. We can remain the same, maintain as we are, continue to do the same ministries that we're doing, continue about the same size, and we'll be fine. Or we can move forward, provide a prophetic vision that will enable us to do new ministries, take us to new places, that may increase our growth both numerically and spiritually. It's our decision about where we're heading. I think we're at a crossroads where it's time to decide which one we're going to choose. That's why you're here today. We want you to have an opportunity to listen to some things that the session has put together, and we want to hear from you about where you think this congregation needs to be heading. So we're glad that you're here today. About a year ago, a little more than a year ago, the session appointed a subcommittee of the session, 4 elders and myself as pastor, to serve as a vision committee, to take a close look at the ministries of this congregation, to evaluate what it is we're doing, and to begin to make some decisions about where it is we're heading as a church. We looked at every ministry in the congregation. We looked at worship, we looked at mission, we tried to have a complete vision. And over several months, we studied who we were. We talked about what things we did well and what things we didn't do as well. And finally, we talked about a vision, an idea of where we're heading as a congregation and what we needed to do and to be about. When we completed the report, we presented it to session, and session adopted that report. What you're going to hear today is some of that report. In all the areas that we identified 2 major areas of concern and of interest to us as a congregation that we wanted to be sure we dealt with. Those 2 areas are our building debt and the need for additional program staff. There were many other areas identified, and you'll have an opportunity to sound off on some of those today. We obviously have a wonderful building, a building that has been built for the future, that provides us plenty of space to carry on ministries as a congregation and to carry on ministries to the community. It's a marvelous space, but it comes with a cost. Currently, our debt on this building is about $1.6 million. And every month, we write a check for $13,200 to the bank to help pay for the mortgage on this building. Over the course of the year, that's $158,400 that we spend just to service the debt on our building. That's a big debt for a congregation our size. We want to address that so that we're not continually coming back to the congregation asking for more money to be sure that we get our debt covered. Secondly, we identify the need for programmatic staff. We're a congregation on the cusp. There is more work than one person can do at your helm. We thought we particularly need somebody in the area of education, and more specifically in the area of children's education, so that young families or families with young children and with children of high school age who come here to worship with us might find the programs that they need as a family to meet the nurture that they're looking for. Those two needs are major needs. In fact, to have another programmatic staff person on board will cost us in the neighborhood of $50,000 a year. But it's a need that we feel is important and one that we hope soon we might be able to fill. Now, there's other decisions to be made about our congregation also, not just the building debt and the need for program staff. We've got to decide where we're heading in terms of worship, what we're going to be about in terms of mission. We've got some marvelous missions in cradle care and in our preschool, things that we do in the community about us. Are there new ministries that we might tackle? What about evangelism and church growth? Would a staff person help us to grow some? Would we be able to, if we found that hospitality that we're looking for as a congregation, would we be able to grow and to meet some of these needs by the growth? Those are questions that we have for you that we want to hear from you on. What are we doing educationally? Is that meeting your needs at this point? Or are there other things that we can do? We've got lots of questions and lots of decisions to make, but that's why we've asked you to come today and to think about this. We need your input so that we might plan for our future, to build a vision to make sure that we do not perish, but that we grow and we thrive. In the next few minutes, you're going to have the opportunity to look at a display that'll give you some of these facts and figures so that you can mull them over. And in discussion today, we hope that you'll be able to tell us what it is you want to see this congregation doing so that the session can act on that and lead us to where God is calling. Thanks for your time. We're glad that you're here, and I appreciate you being part of this congregation.
As Drew mentioned, the Vision Committee of the session identified 6 key areas: hospitality, children and youth, the building debt, how we do church, involvement in mission, and growth. 2 of those areas garnered a special focus, and those are children and youth and the building debt management. In the area of children and youth, it is clear that we need to add educational staff. The current budget allows $24,375. The budget that's been determined that we need is approximately $60,000. On our building debt, our annual mortgage commitment of $158,400 is what we desire to pay each year. The required amount for each year is $119,000. $66,550 of this comes from the general annual budget, and $91,850 must come from a building fund account, which currently has $100,000 in it. 4 other areas identified for focus are hospitality. We need to provide good usher training, use members other than elders to perform tasks of hospitality, update and maintain a quality website. We also need to talk about how we do church, downsize the Board of Deacons in session to 15 each, maintain fewer committees, make better use of monitors in the narthex to provide information, strive to involve more members. Consider how we deal with continuity of our entire ministry. Maintain consistent publicity. Appoint a team to develop a new mission and vision statement. Involvement in mission. We need to do a better job communicating the mission of interpreting the work of Conway Cradle Care, the First Presbyterian Children's Education Ministries, and Daily Bread to the congregation. We need to provide awareness of our mission opportunities on our website, conduct a study of the missional church, highlight all mission activities and mission spending in an accessible report. As far as growth is concerned, we need to create an attitude conducive to growth, providing a welcoming nursery, concentrating on involving new members, developing blended worship opportunities, encouraging officers and members to sit with varied persons at WOW and fellowship opportunities to get to know each other. Develop an identifiable logo for banners and bumper stickers, and create signage that is effective. Back to the 2 areas that were identified for special focus, children and youth. We need to add educational staff, provide continuity between WOW and Sunday offerings, provide for teacher recruitment and training, review guidelines and intentions for children's church, perhaps change the starting time of Sunday school, and conduct both long and short-term adult classes. As far as the building debt goes, we need to explore the need for a capital campaign. We can maintain an accessible memorial book, keep the congregation informed of indebtedness and plans for repayment, develop a plan for matching funds and challenge gifts, and strengthen our overall stewardship program. Again, the 6 areas identified by the Vision Committee are those that we want to discuss tonight. We welcome you to this meeting, we welcome you to this process, and encourage you to share your best thoughts for what we can do together with God's help.